Hi, it's Jon Mitchell, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So I wanted to talk about an investment proposal that I made this week. So every year, the city has the state certify what's known as free cash, which is essentially the money left over from the previous year's budget. There's always something in the way of a surplus every year. So this year is no exception. Most of the money that we take from the previous year's surplus goes into the rainy day funds the city maintains, right? In the case of some kind of emergency or something unexpected, we'll have the money to pay for whatever our needs are. And again, this year, no exception. So most of the funds go into ensuring that we can be able to do that. Most of the free cash balance goes into that. Yeah, but we also had a couple of $1 million to otherwise spend. And so what we tend to do is spend them on what are so-called one-time items, just in other words, buying stuff, equipment, or other things that enable the departments that provide the city services to do it better. So in this case, we did just that. And the focus of our investments was on public safety. So we're spending a fair amount of money on finishing up a couple of important projects in the fire department, to finish up a renovation project at Station 2 downtown to ensure that gets done. That's something that's already under construction, to refurbish bathrooms and a number of other items in there so that firefighters who spend a lot of their time at those stations and sleeping over in 24-hour shifts can have what they need. And then similarly, some electrical upgrades at the north end station, the far north end station, Station 5. In addition to that, we're going to be taking some of that money, about $400,000, and buying new police cruisers. We're adding to that fleet, as well as spending about $500,000 on the tablets, on the computers, the laptop computers that police officers have in their cruisers and otherwise use. And that's important because so much of law enforcement these days is done with the benefit of electronic technology. And so having up-to-date resources for our police to do their jobs is really important. And this is all part of our effort to upgrade our police department and to give our police officers the tools they need. We are having staffing shortages in the police department for sure. It's harder just to find people who want to become police officers. But we're at the same time, as we were dealing with that challenge, we are investing in equipment. So we've got a good pipeline now of new police cruisers, tablets and other computers, tasers, firearms, cameras, and other equipment that the police use to get the job done. So we want to make sure that our officers are in a good position, again, while we deal with some of the staffing constraints. So a couple of other things we're spending money on: we're buying a new street sweeper, we're getting some new emergency plans done. That's all stuff that will, again, enable us to be better prepared in the first instance, to clean the city, but in the second instance, to be better prepared for any contingency. The same thing I just want to talk about today is that we're having a transition in the school department. As I think folks know by now, Superintendent Anderson is leaving the district after 5 years to go back to his hometown of East Hartford, Connecticut, to become the superintendent there. And we, of course, wish him well and thank him for all of his work. And there'll be more to come. He doesn't leave until the end of June. In the meantime, the school committee has announced that it will do a search in the fall for a permanent replacement. But in the meantime, we have appointed the current school business manager, the deputy superintendent or assistant superintendent for finance and operations, Andrew O'Leary, as the interim superintendent. So, and he's somebody who knows the system and will be able to allow us to continue the work without interruption, which is really important when we're gonna go in effect for a year without having a permanent replacement in place. So we appreciate his willingness to step on up, and we'll be working to ensure that he gets the support he needs to be effective in that position. But that's how that's playing out now. The last thing I just wanted to touch upon is that, yes, we've had a number of fires in the city, and I just wanted of late, and some unfortunately some deadly ones, and that's been very difficult on everybody involved. I did want to thank our fire department and EMS departments for being so quick in their responses and so skillful in their responses, and for their work in inspecting places across the city to ensure that the risk of fire is diminished. All that said, and the work they have been doing has been important. We've seen, according to the chief, a decline in structure fires over the last few years. We want to keep that up. But it takes everybody to ensure that housing in the city is safe. And when we have fires like the ones we've had recently, it's a reminder just of how risky it is, how much we may underestimate the risk of fires breaking out in wherever one lives, even in single-family houses. It just happens so quickly, and a few tips can go a long way. And so, we've talked in the past about the safety of cooking and not smoking in bed, and putting out, if you are smoking, to make sure that cigarettes or cigars or whatever or other are put out properly. But knowing how to get out, making sure your house has an evacuation plan, and how that evacuation specifically should be done to ensure the protection of everybody, not just yourself, is really important. The city's website, the fire department's website in particular, has a number of tips that are worth looking at. I encourage everybody to take a look at that. If you have questions, certainly call the fire station in your neighborhood, and call the non-emergency number, and just ask them. They'll be happy to help you prepare for any contingencies. But I just think we all have to be aware of some of these possibilities, because they can be quite devastating, if not deadly. So anyway, words to the wise, and that's all I have for this week. Until next week, this has been the Mayor's Weekly Update, and enjoy the great weather.